All right.
We're just a month away from Daytona, and I know a certain gentleman who is super excited right now, and that man's name is Corey Huffnagel. My name is Chris Burns, the Jabroni, and this is the C&J Speedway Review. We are back less than a month before those cars hit the track on February 16 at 1 p.m. I'm starting to get excited, but Corey, I know for a fact that you are like a kid on Christmas right now.
Absolutely, Chris. I'm literally like a kid on Christmas morning that I can't wait to run downstairs, get all my NASCAR gear ready, sit on my Barca lounger and end up watching the race all day. And you know what? This is probably the best time of the year. And honestly, all I could just say is, I can remember the day after the championship race was over, I was like, what am I going to do until February? And now here we are, and it's only 4 weeks until the Daytona 500, so I can't wait. I think this is going to be an exciting season, and I think this is going to be the most exciting year that I don't think anybody's going to expect.
It's certainly going to be full of surprises, and one of those surprises I just learned today, which was the signing of Castrol as Ryan Newman's primary sponsor in the 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing. Now, I got to see the car. It looks good, but I don't like the red number against the green and white. It looks a little too Hunt Brothers Pizza.
Yeah, that's what I
Italian.
thought.
Yeah, it looks a little Italian restaurant. They could have went with a different color, but that's small potatoes. Castrol is one of those sponsors that signifies racing on many different levels. Of course, they're big on the drag racing circuits, but now the name Castrol is back on the NASCAR Cup Series, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be really good.
I think it will be. It's also going to be another additional sponsorship for Ryan Newman's team, because I would probably say, the 6 car, they do have a little bit of funding, but then yet again, they're going to have some really good funding this year.
Absolutely. So, guys, much like 2 weeks ago when we featured Connecticut racing champion Joey Ternullo, we're trying to keep the offseason lively and peppy. Corey's going to start firing questions at me, much like I did to him and Joey last week. So Hope you're prepared. I'm prepared. I have no notes in front of me. I am flying by the seat of my pants. I got a Sharpie in each hand just so I can write down how ignorant I sound. So, Corey, why don't you give us the news and notes for the last 2 weeks since we saw you people?
Okay, so pretty much NBC Sports is reporting that Daniel Suarez is going to be running full-time in the 96 car for Gott Brothers Racing in 2020. So now the team hasn't made any announcements just yet, but it looks like rumor has it that Suarez is going to be running the 96 car for Toyota, and possibly, is going to be having Eris's sponsor with him too. So when I first thought of Daniel Suarez, when, he gets the boot from Stewart-Haas Racing, I kind of thought, all right, the kid was good, but, he was brought into the Cup Series a lot too early, even though after he won the Xfinity Championship and so forth. And then, of course, I thought, of course, they were going to go to, he was going to go to Richard Childress's Xfinity team because, of course, now Tyler Reddick's moving on to the Cup Series. But I think Gott Brothers Racing, I think it's an okay fit. And, of course, they did finish in the top 15 a couple times during their seasons as well. So one little fact about Gott Brothers Racing. So they debuted back in 2017. They only ran one race with DJ Kennington. And then they ran 22 races the following year with Parker Kligerman, along with Kennington, Jeffrey Earnhardt, and then, of course, Jesse Little. The team last year ran about 15 races with Drew Herring, and then with Parker Kligerman, who ran 14 starts. So I kind of think to myself, with Suarez possibly going to this race team, he could probably help them just a little bit. Now, I do expect them to finish in the top 15, but who knows? They might possibly get their first top 10, along with them. I mean, he is a talented driver. I mean, he was good with Joe Gibbs Racing. He was good with Stewart-Haas Racing. Now we'll just have to see how he does in the 96 car.
It's going to be a problem because when you talk about Joe Gibbs and Stewart-Haas Racing, you're talking about teams that have really good funds behind them. This upstart team is going to take minimally 2 years to get their feet underneath them, my opinion. If it happens sooner, then good for them. But again, I keep talking about how Daniel Suarez caught a bum deal. They kept Danica Patrick in that spot for I don't know how many years until she decides, well, I don't want to do it anymore. I think there was more to it, and Almirola gets the 10. So the 41 goes to Suarez after Kurt Busch was in that car. There's just 2 years is not enough. I think Suarez should still be in that car. It's not to be. The 96 team, the real test is going to be on February 16th in Daytona. It's where rookies shine. They get up front early. They show they can handle being in the front of the pack at 200 plus miles an hour. You see if they can be shaken. And after Daytona, if you get a good finish, if you finish in the top 20 at Daytona, it's a good start to your year. Now you move on. You go to the second, the third, the fourth. 10 races in, if the 96 team is going to be a pretender or a contender. My opinion, Suarez has the goods. He has the talent. He has the ability. Is he going to have the equipment underneath him? I don't think so.
Well, we'll just have to see if either that, or if Gaunt Brothers Racing is aligned with some of the Toyota teams. But yeah, we'll just have to see.
Well, the Toyota teams, and let's be honest, the strongest cars in the last 4 years, doesn't matter what manufacturer wins the championship, Toyotas are always, always strong. So maybe that's a team like Gibbs. We won't know until they start leaking that information out. Probably as soon as Daytona, if Suarez qualifies and gets into the race, and he's probably going to be featured at some point. They're going to say, oh, look, he's in the Gaunt Brothers Racing, and they have a technical alliance with fill-in Toyota team here. We won't know until that day. I don't think they're going to leak that information right away.
Right.
So what else you got for news and notes, my friend?
All right. So in the Gander Outdoor Truck Series, they just announced their playoff field is going to be expanded from 8 drivers to now 10 drivers in 2020. So this is how the rounds are going to be this year. So 3 races in the round of 10, you're going to have pretty much 2 drivers be eliminated. However, in the round of 8, you're going to have 4 drivers eliminated. So pretty much, let's say 10 minus 4, I think that's somewhere around 6. Yeah. So pretty much around 6.
Did you ever go to school?
I did. I tried to do the math in my head at that point, but
it was the worst week of my life.
Right. But no, I think this is a good move for the Truck Series. I mean, with 8, I thought was good, but I think they could have done a little bit better, maybe around 10 or maybe 12 drivers that would qualify. But I think 10's a good number. I mean, it's not like, in college football where you have the top 4 guys that make it to the playoffs and everybody was complaining, well, there should be at least 6 that qualify or 8 or whatever. But I think with the Truck Series, expanding to 10 drivers in this playoff field, you're going to see some guys, that missed the playoffs last year, that'll have a good shot. You have guys like Todd Gilliland. You have guys like, if I could pull this up just 1 second, and hold on, I just went to 2020 there for a second. There was no. All right. So basically, you're going to see guys that, that failed to make the playoffs last year have a shot to make it in. You got guys like Ben Rhodes. You got Sheldon Creed. You got Harrison Burton. Well, no, Harrison Burton's off to Xfinity. Never mind. You got Todd Gilliland. You got possibly Natalie Decker, because now she's going to be running a part-time schedule for Nice Motorsports. Also, Christian Eckes. Guys like that, they can have a big chance. Well, they can have a chance, of making the playoffs this year. That could run with the Craftons, the Moffats, the Friesens, the Hills, the Sodders, the Infingers, the Ankrams, and so forth. But I think this year's playoff grid for the Truck Series, I think it'll be exciting. But wait till you see maybe the round of 2 or something. Once we get down to Phoenix, once we get down to Martinsville or something like that. Then we'll figure out, who's going to make the championship for at Phoenix.
Yeah, and, when you go that late in the season like you're talking about, you pretty much know who your 4 are going to be. Either they're locked in on points or they win their way in. The Truck Series is a little different because a lot of them, I don't remember a lot of them winning to get in. Or, I'm sorry, right. using their wins or winning multiples. I remember, oh cripes, what was it in the last round of the playoffs before Homestead? Somebody did win to get in. Am I misremembering that?
Probably.
Probably. I don't know. You're the stat guy. I'm just here for so I'm here for the sex appeal. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so no, I'm looking forward to the new playoff system. 10 drivers is good. I wish all 4 series would employ the same 16 driver playoff format. Unfortunately, you have 30 drivers that are full time and are, you don't want to put more than half. This isn't hockey. You don't get to put almost everybody into the playoffs every year. So,
Right.
so 10 drivers, nice. Could they have gone 12 and shared the spotlight with Xfinity, who does 12? Yes. It would make things a lot smoother, but let's see how 10 works out. I'm excited. I want to see how this works out, and I'm really interested to see who 9 and 10 are going to be at the end of this year in 2020.
I agree.
Okay. Anything else, or are we going straight into you kicking my butt with questions?
All right. So, what do you think about the new road course that the Xfinity Series is going to be doing at Indianapolis in July?
Oh, I looked at that earlier today. I think you shared a picture of it. Looks great. The best thing about Indianapolis is that it is flat, not the earth. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is flat. So the road course, of course, is going to be flat. What I love about flat tracks is you don't get to, carry your speed out of a 35-degree angle in the turns. There's not really a lot of bump and grind. Your all-around ability is tested not only on a road course but on a flat track. New Hampshire Motor Speedway is mostly flat. When you watch it on television, it looks flat. Corey, from sitting in the stands, it does have a bit of 12-degree banking in the corners. I'm pretty sure it's 12 degrees, which on television looks like this piece of paper right here. But when you're sitting in the stands, you see the 12 degrees of bank, but 12 degrees isn't all that much. There's like 2 degrees of banking in the corners when you run Indianapolis Motor Speedway regular style. I like the road course, and I like a flat road course. And this is going to be something that you're going to have to be really on your game to win this race. If you're someone, go ahead.
Oh, no, I thought you were going to say something at the end.
I was just going to say, watch the guys who go and win Martinsville and watch the guys who go and win New Hampshire. So when they get to Indianapolis, you probably have a pretty good idea. You look at the top 10 from Martinsville, look at the top 10 from New Hampshire, and then look at the guys that did well at the road course. Put it all together, mix it in the pot. You're going to see pretty much who your top 5 is going to be, barring incident.
And not only that, so not only the Xfinity guys is going to be running on the road course July 4th weekend, but you're going to have the Cup guys race on the oval. So you're going to have the Cup guys race on the oval July 4th weekend as well. So I think this is kind of very interesting to see how this is all going to play out.
It's what the funniest thing is they're doing this on the same weekend, and you're going to have if Xfinity goes out to practice first, the only rubber that the Cup guys are going to be able to use to get their practice and qualifying times are, if I'm remembering the configuration, is from the start-finish line and coming out of turn 2, and that's when the Xfinity guys are going to turn off and go into the road course. That leaves the entire backstretch in 3 and 4, including the home stretch to the finish line, rubber-free. What the Cup guys are going to have to figure out is we have all this rubber laid down in turn 1 and turn 2. Now we're laying down fresh rubber in 3 and 4. You're going to have extra grip going into 1 and 2 on the Cup Series, barring a rainout and turning the track green again. That's gonna screw with the setup of the car a little bit, because on a normal oval, it's all over the track. You have evenly laid rubber all over the track from these tires. Now you're not going to have that. You're going to have an overabundance in 1 and 2. That's going to change the grip of the race car. And then going into 3 and 4, you're going to see they're going to get a little more free. You're going to see, the back end of the car come out a little bit more, no matter how much rubber is laid down, because you don't have as much grip in those turns as you do in 1 and 2, thanks to the Xfinity guys. Again, I said it earlier about I said it earlier about the Xfinity guys, and watch who does well on this track or this track. Whoever you see be able to, I'll say, manhandle that car coming out of 3 and 4 on the Cup Series, everybody's going to be able to utilize that grip in 1 and 2. It's going to be a driver's dream for the Cup guys. But 3 and 4,
right,
they're not going to have as much grip. Those turns are equal. That the place is built like a rectangle. You'll figure out who's got it and who doesn't. Everybody's going to be able to use that grip and get good corner speed coming out of 2. But 3 and 4 are going to be the tricky area to watch.
right. So basically, like, what I kind of think about this is, I think this whole weekend, they're kind of doing it, just like how IndyCar, throughout the whole entire month of May, they race at Indianapolis. You get the road course race one weekend, then you end it off with the Indianapolis 500. So part of me was pretty much saying, okay, I kind of like this idea, but I want to know how this is all going to play out, and I want to know how you're going to go from the road course to one day to running on the oval the next day. So I kind of thought to myself, all right, if they could just do qualifying and the race on the same day, so meaning, you'd have qualifying and the race on Saturday for Xfinity on the road course, and then the next day you change it back to the oval, which of course you get qualifying and the race on Sunday. I think that'd be a good picture. Now, keep this in mind. Track president and track owner Roger Penske, I think this was an absolute signature move. And of course, when I say Roger Penske, for a guy that's been successful at almost everything motorsports, I'm talking NASCAR, which he's won Daytona 500s, he's won championships, he's won races. Open wheel, IndyCar, he's probably been the most successful guy there was over there too, winning a lot of open wheel races, winning championships. Hey, winning the Indianapolis 500, I think 16 or 17 times. I will say this, with Penske now being the new IndyCar owner and, of course, the owner of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I expect him to make a lot of big changes, not only to tracks this year, but also motorsports in general. NASCAR, I expect him to make a big change. IndyCar, I expect him to make a big change as well. And who knows? Maybe sometime in 2021, we might see a NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader weekend, because the way I see this right now, we're going to have basically 2 NASCAR doubleheader weekends. We got the Pocono doubleheader weekend in June, and now we have the Indianapolis doubleheader weekend in July 4th weekend. So I think with Penske, I think it was a signature move, but my one little concern and my one little honest opinion is that if we would have had the Cup guys race on the road course at Indianapolis, I think it would have been better, because then we would have had another road course race / another Roval race, on the schedule. And I think that would have been more exciting.
Well, that kind of answers the follow-up question I had for you, is how soon before we see the NASCAR Cup Series and the big boys on that road course? You kind of answered the question for me. I think it's going to be sooner than later. And going back to what you said about Roger Penske, it's cliche. It's a song. I hear it all the time. All he does is win, on every level, anywhere. If there's 4 wheels, he could probably win a Pinewood Derby tomorrow. That's how good Roger Penske is in all forms of racing, anywhere, anytime. The road course is a fantastic idea. Again, you have the tricks that you have to worry about having the road course and then the oval. I don't know that there's ever been a time other than rainouts where the Cup guys have qualified before their own race. That's usually a truck or an Xfinity Series deal. If that's what it takes to make sure everything's leveled out and everything's even, then I'm all for it. Because then Cup guys usually qualify Friday or Saturday. You don't have to take down that barrier that's going to separate after they come out of turn 2 to go into the infield on the road course part. So that's a smart move. I agree with you on that. That's really smart. Will it happen? We'll find out July 4th weekend.
Right. Now, my other big question is, so let's say the Xfinity guys will be racing on the road course at Indianapolis. So even though in the past at Indy, it was 250 laps, 250 miles, 100 laps, how many laps do you think it's going to be for the road course at Indianapolis? Like, if you could guess me a number between, I don't know, maybe like 1 to 80, what do you think?
That's a good question. It's 2.5 miles around?
Yeah.
and now you're bending and twisting and turning. That could add, that could subtract. I'm gonna go full bore. I'm gonna go 80 laps.
Okay, because I know Watkins Glen they do 82 laps. I know Mid Ohio they do 75. Road America they do 45. The Charlotte Roval they do 55. So I'm kind of guessing, if it was a 100 lap race and it was 250 miles when they used to do it on the oval, I'm gonna say probably maybe 65, 70 laps.
That could work out. And again, when they announce, and they've shown the configuration, when they announce how long it is, we could probably have a better, more educated answer. But I like where you're going. I think anywhere between 65 and 80 is perfect.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Okay. All right, so you know how we have the regular season finale at Daytona in August. So now after Daytona, the Cup Series playoffs start the next week. So let's say we have somebody that's below the top 18. I'd probably say somewhere between maybe between 20 or 30. Now remember, you have to be in the top 30 to make the playoffs and everything. So will we see an upset winner at the regular season finale at Daytona? If so, who would it be and why?
Ooh. All right. If we don't have a full 16 winner field already, and
well, yeah,
you're in the lower ends. Let's say we have 12 winners and 4 open spots.
Daytona, it's last chance to make it in.
Last chance, Jones. All right. So, if he doesn't collect a win, I got 2 answers. If neither of these two gentlemen collect a win in the first 25 races leading up to that 26th race cutoff at Daytona, I'm going to throw my hat and hang it on either William Byron or Matt DiBenedetto. Only because when you look at the way they've run Daytona, they look good. They sometimes get into a little bit of trouble, but they're always battling. They're always up front. When you think about Daytona and you think about years past and surprise drivers coming up, Sterling Marlin started his winning streak by winning Daytona. Ward Burton, Lake Speed. Was it Lake Speed? No, Derek Cope. Sorry.
Derek Cope.
Trevor Bayne. Surprise drivers winning that race. Justin Haley, just this past year. It's certainly one of those races where you could be teetering and you could be way down. You've got the equipment. Maybe you've run into a bunch of bad luck. You're good, but the brakes aren't falling your way. I'll throw a third name on there, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If there's ever going to be a year for someone who has been so dominant for years and years and years to sneak his narrow butt into the playoffs, look for Jimmy Johnson in that final race.
Okay. All right.
What about you?
I probably say for me, if it was the last chance to make it in, of course it's Daytona, regular season finale this year. You never know what to expect. I'm going to have to say Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I mean, now that he's starting to get a new team for JTG Doherty Racing, he's bringing his super speedway experiences to that team, and I think he's going to help out that team a lot. Him and Ryan Preece, and of course we all know how Stenhouse runs at Daytona Talladega. He runs really well. He runs good with the pack. So I could possibly see him as a potential upset winner, when we get down to the regular season finale before the playoffs.
But with his super speedway acumen, and as well as he does he really qualify as a surprise?
Yes.
Okay. No, I'll buy it. It's your opinion, right or wrong. Wrong. But it's your opinion. You can have
it. Right.
All right. Next question.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think about Ross Chastain's chances this year in the Xfinity Series?
7.5. Here's a kid that came out of the box strong once he declared himself for the Truck Series. Looked great on the Xfinity Series in years past. I keep going back to that dust-up with Kevin Harvick at Darlington a few years ago. He's primed to win that race, and I said it then, I'll say it now. Harvick was a schmuck, had no business tangling with Chastain, and ruined his chances. So, yeah, I think better than average. I'm going to give him better than 50%. I'm going to give him a 7.5. The reason I give him a 7.5 is because you still have some hungry competitors left from last year and the year before's championship runs that are going to want to get the trophy that they missed out on. I'll throw Justin Allgaier into that mix. A number of them that are, and some of the guys that are coming up from the Truck Series this year that want that trophy just as bad as he does. But you can't count Ross out. Ross Chastain is one of those guys that you see him, you're like, he's going to break out sooner than later. He's going to break out. Yeah, I think this is the year. This is the year we're going to see Ross Chastain in the Xfinity Series just go out. He's going to put on a Christopher Bell, Cole Custer type year. That's my opinion. Whether or not that translates into a championship, only time can tell us that.
Right.
What about you?
All right, I'm gonna give myself probably an 8.5 or a 9 because you just look at this guy last year. He won 4 or 5 races in the Truck Series, could have won the championship, just came up a little bit short. But you just look at Kaulig Racing this year, and you look at Kaulig Racing a year ago. I mean, they won 2 races. They won their first race at Daytona, Ross Chastain, and then of course, they won the Charlotte Roval with AJ Allmendinger as well. So I look at Ross Chastain, and I just look at him, and I always say to myself, he's the next Brad Keselowski. And of course, for a guy that races hard and loves to win races and so forth, I think Chastain's got a chance. I think he's probably going to be possibility at maybe being the championship favorite this year. But I just look at him, it's a good fit. Of course, Kaulig Racing, they get their alliances with Richard Childress Racing as well. So I can't wait to see how he starts off at Daytona and how he does this year. And honestly, I got to tell you, I think he's probably going to win maybe a couple races, to start off the season. And then in the playoffs, I think he'll be the one to beat.
Sure. And on top of that, when you say Brad Keselowski, I had to think about that while you were giving the rest of your dissertation there. Nobody saw Keselowski coming back when, driving that 09 Mikosuki casino car when he turned Carl Edwards over and over at Talladega. After that,
right,
you saw him slowly climb. He emerged, and then he wins a championship, and he wins races all over the place. And not just saying that because it's the great Baldini's birthday this Saturday, and I want to say nice things about Brad. But I told everybody else, I dig Brad Keselowski, and I like the comparison of Ross Chastain to Brad Keselowski. They're both fighters. They don't like to settle. They want to get out there, whereas a lot of guys are like, oh, yeah, you know what, I ran ninth. That's great. We'll come back and get him next week. Big smile on their face. That's about the best I can say about it is good call on the Chastain-Keselowski comparison. But, yeah, you know what? He's going to be championship 4. If not, he'll maybe run into some bad luck and not get past the round of 8. But definitely I see Ross Chastain as a contender.
Okay.
What else you got? This is good. I like these questions.
All right. So, now next question. William Byron's chances of winning a race this year.
Better than average. He had some really strong runs in 2019. Both of us thought he was finally going to break through. It seemed like the closer he got, the more trouble came and found him. He didn't find trouble. He's running well, and a crash takes him out. Not a crash he started, or not a dust-up that he was in, but he got tangled up in the trouble. Everybody has engine problems. William Byron really didn't experience much engine trouble this year. But when William Byron was, just when you thought he was going to break through, something happens right close to him, and that 88, Bowman's the 24, sorry. 88 is, what's his nuts there? Bowman. Yeah. I can't keep Hendrick straight anymore. I know Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott, that's all I know. I'm kidding. But no, whenever that 24 got anywhere near doing something really great, something bad came and took him out. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Alex Bowman have a win under his belt by the time we reach May 1st.
Okay. I could probably see Byron winning maybe 1 or 2 races this year. I know Super Speedways they've had a really good season, and then of course, this is year 2 with Chad Knaus, and of course we all know that Chad's won 7 championships with Jimmy Johnson, and I think he'll be a big help for the 24 team this year. So I kind of look at it, I think they're gonna have a good year, maybe get a win in or 2, but you just look at his stats last year, 5 top 5s, 13 top 10s, and an average finish of 14.9. I mean, it is pretty consistent. I mean, it's good, but I think, this year you'll probably see a lot more better things out of the 24.
I'd like to see him win despite Cheater Chad. Never been a fan of Chad Knaus. Yes, I know he's 7 times world heavyweight champion. I know he's crew chief of the year 15,411 times. He's also the most suspended crew chief in the history of NASCAR because of the things he's done. I often say Jimmy Johnson won races despite Chad Knaus, but you can't deny their chemistry together. You're right. It is year 2. Chad Knaus, no matter what I say about him, if I say he's the Alex Cora of NASCAR, that's one thing. But to deny his talent as a crew chief and to deny Alex Bowman, I've got Alex Bowman on the brain for some reason today, to deny William Byron that he has talent coming out the wazoo, yeah, he'll win a couple races. Absolutely. I just think he'll collect that first win. He's got to break that ceiling first. And we've talked about it over and over again. Once you get that first win, they come to you after that. You get the confidence. Once you get up front, you're not worried about, am I going to wreck? Am I going to make a mistake? When you get that monkey off your back, everything goes smooth from there on out.
Right.
And nobody is really better, and I'm saying this now to be completely honest, nobody is better at setting up a car at its peak in the last, say, 15 to 19 years than Chad Knaus.
Right.
So what else you got?
Okay, so I know I probably said this before, but of the 3 rookies that are going to be in the Cup Series this year, you got Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, and out of all the 3 rookies that are going to be in the Cup Series this year, Cole Custer, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell, which one of the 3 has the best chance of winning a race? Who ends up winning Rookie of the Year and why?
Well, I think I asked the Rookie of the Year question with Joey Ternullo, and I think you guys both said Christopher Bell. I went with Cole Custer. As far as winning a race, I honestly think Reddick is the best one that will come in and sneak in and motivate those 2. I think Reddick is going to be the first one to win a race out of the rookie crop. And I'm not saying that to downplay Custer or Bell, because we've seen what they can do over the last 2 years and how dominant those 2 are. We've said it for 2 years. It's a Cole Custer and Christopher Bell world. We're just living in it. But now, we're all on level playing field. We're all on the Cup Series. We're all running for well-funded teams. And now we have to go out and show the world that there's hustle behind this muscle.
Right.
Reddick is, and the reason I pick Reddick is he's the sleeper. I don't think many people are looking at Tyler Reddick the way they're looking at Bell and Custer. I think they're kind of focusing on Bell and Custer and saying these are the guys. They're going to win races. They're going to be, rookie championship contenders, and everybody's going to sleep on Tyler Reddick. Well, We found out what happens when you sleep on Tyler Reddick for the last 2 years. He will sneak up and bite you in the butt when you least expect it. That's what he's going to do this year. My vote is Tyler Reddick is the first one of the rookies to get to victory lane. Past that, I can't say that he'll win Rookie of the Year because that goes to the overall points leader of the rookies. That, my friend, is going to go to Cole Custer.
Okay.
And that's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd probably say for me, I think the one guy that I think will have the best chance, I think will probably be Christopher Bell. I mean, we've seen how he's done in the Truck Series. We also seen how he's done in the Xfinity Series. I mean, pretty talented. You know, has won a bunch of races in those two series, and now that he's moving to the Cup Series for Levine Family Racing, I think this is going to be a big step for him. They did have some good runs last year with Matt DiBenedetto, so I think they'll probably have some good runs this year with Bell.
Absolutely. And again, all three of these guys running for really good teams, and Levine being, I believe Levine's an arm of Gibbs Racing. So you've got the Toyota and the Gibbs clout underneath you. Custer's in with SHR and Reddick is RCR. So you have really good teams backing you up. Now it's time for you to show I deserve this seat. The one I want to watch the most closely, there's two of them. I'm still hot that they shuttled Matt DiBenedetto out the door in that 95. He basically put Levine Family Racing on his back. I know Casey Kane ran for them for a short spell, but DiBenedetto put Levine Family Racing on his back and showed the world that he is for real. I'm also interested in Custer because Custer getting in that 41, where we just talked about Daniel Suarez a little bit earlier. Suarez was shown the door way too early. Well, Custer is going to have to come up big to show that he deserves that seat. Not to say he's not talented. He is. He's uber talented. Well,
yeah.
But shuttle this kid out the door for the new shot. Show the world that that's your seat and that you deserve it. That's my challenge for Cole Custer right there. I want him to do well. I want Stewart-Haas Racing to do well all the time. If they won every race of the year, I'd be thrilled. But that's not going to happen. Cole Custer in that 41 had better have a better season this year than Daniel Suarez did in his 2 years in that seat.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about which one of them do you think has the most to prove in those three cars? Because again, Hemrick's another guy that's getting shuffled out of the 8 for Tyler Reddick. But Reddick has the 2 championships behind him. He's moving up. They moved him up the right way. I think Bell and Custer are up too early. That's my opinion.
Right.
What do you think about all this?
Well, I kind of say for me, I know Richard Childress, that was a tough decision to make, because they wanted to keep Reddick, in case if he was going to go to another team and so forth. And sometimes with teams, they have to make that tough decision and just tell them you won't be back with us next year because we had to get another guy in and so forth. But I just look at Reddick. I mean, I think he can help RCR quite a bit. We know how they're good on the super speedways. Stewart-Haas Racing with Cole Custer, I mean, I think it's a good fit too. I mean, considering the fact that Daniel Suarez got the boot. But again, Tony was trying so hard, to keep Suarez in the 41 car. But the problem was the 41 car is owned by Gene Haas. So that's his decision, on who he gets for a driver and everything. And then, of course, with the 95, they wanted to get Christopher Bell. I mean, Toyota wanted him in the Cup Series and everything. But again, there comes a time where, a team owner, makes that tough decision saying, do I want to get him or I'm just afraid I'm going to lose him. So, that's just basically what happens.
But again, when you look at the season that Matt DiBenedetto had this past year, before they made that decision, he was creeping and he was coming up, and we were all rooting for him to win a race. And then when that news came down, you saw the outpouring of love and respect for Matt DiBenedetto. Raw deal,
right?
To be sure. Hemrick, he got 1 year. He got to sit at the big kids table for 1 year, and it's like, oh, sorry, you got to go. I agree with that decision a little more than I do the decision on the 41 or the 95. But again, we say it a million times. Time is going to tell. All three of those guys, in my opinion, will win a race this year.
I agree.
All right. See, this is going smoothly. I don't know what you were afraid of.
Yeah. All right. So, you ready to hear about the odds and lines for the Daytona 500 this year?
Sure.
All right. Now, keep in mind, we got a lot of them. So, all right. Peeking in at door number 1,
Now,
we
wait,
have
before you start, I want everybody to understand this is before the trucks pull into Daytona. This is before not one practice lap has been run. This is before the Busch Clash, the duels, everything. So this is Vegas being Vegas and saying, here you go.
Yeah. Here are your odds. Okay. So, peeking in at door number 1, we have Ross Chastain, who is going to be driving the 77 car for Spire Motorsports / Chip Ganassi Racing, because of course Chastain's going to have sponsor from Ganassi Racing. So they have Ross Chastain at 200 to 1.
200 to 1. Okay. I'm writing these down as you say them because I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put my money if I were to find a place in Connecticut that would take odds on racing.
Right.
So go ahead, Chastain, 200 to 1.
Yeah. All right. Peeking in at door number 2, we have Landon Castle at 100 to 1.
Wow. They're giving him more credit than he deserves.
Yeah. All right. So, peeking in at door number 3, we have rookie John Hunter Nemechek in the Front Row Motorsports driver at 100 to 1.
Okay. That sounds about right.
Yep. Now, peeking in at the next door, we have Michael McDowell in the 34 Front Row Motorsports car, peeking in at 80 to 1.
Oh, all right. I can see it.
Yeah. Because keep in mind, McDowell, I think, finished in the top 5 last year at Daytona. So, Front Row Motorsports, they sometimes can be a sleeper on the super speedways. So watch out for the 34 and the 38.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. All right. Next door, we have Ryan Preece at 60 to 1.
Yeah, he had a pretty decent run last year, but again, a decent run doesn't make you an odds-on favorite.
Right. Okay, so next door, another guy who is at 60 to 1 is none other than Bubba Wallace.
Bubba Wallace, who his best finish was second in the Daytona 500 and didn't do much after that. So I might have given him one of those 100 to 1, 200 to 1s.
Yeah. All right. So another guy in the next door that is on to 60 to 1 is none other than Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I'll buy it. Ty Dillon, not a guy you talk about very often. So yeah, this is just about right for him.
Okay, so next one we have another one that's a little bit interesting. So we have rookie Tyler Reddick, and his odds for the Daytona 500 are 40 to 1.
A little too high, I think. I think he should have been in the 60s or the 80s. It's his first foray into the Daytona 500 as a Cup driver. I think they're putting a lot more stock into who he runs for rather than how he's going to run.
But then yet again, you got RCR, who runs really well in the super speedways. So, I mean, he could be a threat to win the 500. I mean, even though he's a rookie, but I think it'll be fun to watch him on the super speedways this year. No doubt about it.
Well, absolutely. And it goes back to kind of what we agree on this. They're not looking at how he runs. They're looking at who he runs for. And that's why he's got pretty decent odds.
Yeah.
Next one.
All right. Next one. Next door, we have another guy at 40 to 1, and it is none other than Chris Buescher.
Yes, this one's good. The Buescher win a few years ago, some call it a fluke. I call it, a fluke. So
yeah, I call it a fluke too.
Yeah, these are decent odds for Chris.
Yeah. Okay, another one. Another guy at 40 to 1, and this one is also an interesting pick. 40 to 1 odds are Austin Dillon.
Little too low. I think Dillon has a Daytona win under his belt, and he runs really good at these tracks. I would have put him at 20 to 1. I really would have put him at 20 to 1.
I could have probably put him maybe like 30 to 1. Either way,
Okay.
40-1 don't matter. Yeah.
It's a little low though. I mean, you have to look at not only past performance, but Austin Dillon, when you put him on a super speedway, is better than these odds are giving him.
Right. All right. Next one. Another guy, well, another rookie that's going to be in the Cup Series this year is not other than Christopher Bell, and his odds of winning the 500 are 30-1.
30-1. Little. They're given a little too much credit based on past performance in Xfinity. The Cup and the Xfinity Series are two different animals. We know Bell is tremendously talented and he's exciting to watch, and he does know how to wheel that car around the track. But as a rookie, I don't think any rookie should be above 40-1.
Right. All right. So now next one, and keep in mind, guys, now we're getting into the interesting stats. So next one is another guy who was at 30-1. It is also another rookie, and this one is Cole Custer.
Again, should have been lower. Should have been 40 or 50-1.
Right. Okay. Next door, another guy who was at 30-1 is none other than Kyle Larson.
Wow. Are they undervaluing our boy in the 42? Oh, and you know what? Kind of deserved because of the bad luck he's had over the last 2 years. I would put Larson at perhaps 15-1 or better.
Okay. Now, next pick, another guy who was at 30-1 is none other than the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman.
You know what? I hate to say this. That's perfect. Yes, he won the Daytona 500. Yes, it was in 2008. Yes, he's competitive. Yes, he's championship. He's always in that hunt for the championship. But Ryan Newman isn't exactly lighting the world on fire. 30-1 is a perfect place for him.
Yeah. And not to mention, he almost won Talladega last year too. So, but I mean,
Right.
I think it's an okay pick. So,
quick bit of trivia for you. February 17th, 2008 was the day that Ryan Newman won the Daytona 500. The reason that is so ingrained in my mind is because my daughter was 2 days old, and she was sitting next to me with a Kevin Harvick sweatshirt as a blanket watching the race with me. So she's been doing this with me now since the day she hit the ground running.
And what's also interesting was that I was at that race a couple of years ago.
And you were what, 5, 6 years old?
Somewhere around there, but no, I think I was like maybe somewhere around like 16 or somewhere. I don't know. I have a little jog.
You sir may not say another word. Go ahead.
Right. Okay. So another guy who was at 30-1 is none other than 7-time champion and 2-time. Well, no, excuse me. 2-time Daytona 500 winner, Jimmy Johnson.
Based on the last 2 years, I would agree with this, but part of me says, like I said earlier in the episode, this is a guy that's going to surprise you this year. Yes, it's his last full year. Retirement Jones coming up. He's going to go the Jeff Gordon route with the AARP. Not on his car, just filing for his card. And I think it's right, but at the same time, I want to take a pass on this one because I would give Johnson maybe 20-1 or 15-1. I think 30-1 is a little bit disrespectful for a 2-time winner and a 7-time champion.
Right, and of course he won the Clash race last year too, so that was his only win, but it was a non-points win. So, I mean, for a 2-time Daytona 500 winner, I mean, yeah, I would probably give him a lower pick, but I think 30-1 is an okay pick for now. I mean, besides, he hasn't won a race in the last 2 years, and of course this is his last year of racing, so we'll just have to see what happens, once he hits the gate running.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Yeah. All right. Next one, we have another guy at 30-1, and it is none other than Eric Jones.
Oh God, love the name. You all know how I feel about the Jones. But in this, wait, I got to do it now. Hold on. Don't abuse the Jones. I might have put Eric Jones lower. Yes, he's had some decent runs at Daytona, Talladega, the super speedways, had decent runs at Charlotte, but does that translate into a winning formula? No, because for every really good run he's had a garbage run. I might have put him at 40 or 50 to 1.
Yeah. All right. So now next one, and now we're getting into the interesting part. So now we have a guy who was at 25 to 1, and it is none other than Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
I'd have made him higher. I'd have had Stenhouse Jr. in the tens. Again, we just talked about him earlier. Daytona, Talladega, this guy is sharp. You see that 17 car up front every time he runs that track, whether he wins or he's top 5 or he wrecks out. He's the name you hear up front 99% of the time at these tracks in the last 5 years. I think 25 to 1 is an insult, and whoever is making these odds in Vegas should have to sit on a cactus for at least an hour.
All right. Now, another guy who is also at 25 to 1 is none other than 2017 champion Martin Truex Jr.
Okay, that is a tad bit insulting, but at the same time, it's correct. I may have had Truex at 20. I may have had Truex at 15, but 25, a tad bit insulting, but at the same time, pretty accurate.
Yeah, I would have had him in the teens too.
Okay.
All right. Next one. We're at 20 to 1, and this one is probably your favorite driver, and that guy is Matt DiBenedetto.
I agree with this. Only because it was only last year that he showed what he could do on a super speedway. He's done well at Bristol. He's done well everywhere else, but leading the Daytona 500, leading the most laps last year, and not having the greatest record in the past at this track, this is perfect. This is perfect for him. 20 to 1 are great odds for Guido going into this race.
I agree too. Let's see. Another guy at 20 to 1 next door. We have Eric Almirola.
I would have put him just a tad bit higher at 15 to 1. Eric Almirola knows how to wheel around when he gets to the front. And Daytona's always been a spot where you look for Almirola to make his way to the front. So, all right, I'll give this one a pass. This one was a good pick.
Yeah. All right, next one. We have Clint Boyer at 20 to 1.
Perfect pick. I can't think of any reason why he should be higher or lower in the odds. This one's a real good one.
All right. Now, we're finally in the teens. So, starting off at 18 to 1, we have William Byron.
I might have put Byron lower. Not by much, 20 or 25. But 18 to 1 is solid. We mentioned earlier in the episode that he does really well at some of these super speedways. Again, bad luck seems to find William Byron. So, you know what? I'll give this one a pass too. I'm going to call this one a good pick.
All right. Next one. We have Alex Bowman at 18 to 1.
Pretty much spot on.
Yeah. All right. Next one. We have Kurt Busch, 18 to 1.
Kurt Busch at 18 to 1. I can't make an argument for or against. That's a good pick.
Yeah. All right. Next one. We have Ryan Blaney, 14 to 1.
A little low. Should have been a little more in the 20s for Ryan Blaney at these tracks. He's shown his mettle elsewhere, but you know the Daytona 500 is a completely different animal, and every driver that's ever strapped in will tell you that you know every race they get in, they have confidence, but Daytona, everybody gets the nerves, everybody gets the shakes. You know, even Dale Earnhardt himself. You know, this is our Super Bowl. He said it, Dale Earnhardt. Our Super Bowl is at the beginning of the season. This is the race you get all your nerves out, and then you plow through the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think this one is a bad pick. I think he should have maybe been 25 or 30 to 1.
All right. Next one. Your favorite driver, Kevin Harvick, 14 to 1.
I'd buy it. With one win at Daytona in the 2007 Daytona 500 and a lot of bad luck over the last couple years at Daytona. I don't think he's finished above 20 in the last 3 years at Daytona. going back beyond that, there was a second, there was a fifth, there was a 10th. Kevin Harvick has never been one to start other than 2007 with a great, strong Daytona. And even then, I wouldn't say his 2007 win was a fluke. I just think he got enough of a nose out in front of Mark Martin and wiggled him just enough to make it because Martin had the strongest car that day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to buy 14-1.
All right. Next one. Defending Cup Series champion Kyle Busch at 14-1.
Kyle Busch, Daytona. Yeah, I know. I'm going to do it again for those that missed it. Hashtag FKB. What is it, 14-1?
Yeah, 14-1.
I like to give a tip of the hat to the reigning and defending champion when we go into Daytona the next year, even though we also say it's the biggest crapshoot in racing. That and the first Talladega race, the unpredictability is so strong. But this is a good pick for Kyle Busch. He's not exactly. This is the place where he, broke his leg in the 2015 season, got grandfathered in, came back to win the championship in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like 14-1 for Kyle Busch. And in case you missed it, hashtag FKB. Oh, and
all right.
Hashtag not my champion.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Defending Daytona 500 winner Denny Hamlin starts off the 2020 Daytona 500 at 10-1.
That's a good pick. 10-1 is good. The run in February last year was strong. I can't remember, other than last year, having Hamlin have such a really, really strong run in Daytona. But you're reigning defending champion. You should be in the tens. So yes, 10-1, good pick.
Yeah. All right. Next one we have Chase Elliott at 10-1.
I'm going to pass on this one, and there's no rhyme or reason why. I can't recall how well he ran last year, or the year prior, or the year prior to that. I do know that Elliott is strong no matter where you put him. So I'm going to pass on making a judgment on Chase Elliott at 10-1.
Okay. All right. Next one we have Brad Keselowski at 10-1.
Really good. Keselowski has done well in Daytona in years past. And again, another guy like Elliott that's strong no matter where you put him. I think Keselowski is going to go on what I like to call the redemption tour this year, much like Kyle Larson is going to do the same. He's got to prove something to people. Brad Keselowski should have been in the championship 4, but bad luck just seemed to find Kes no matter where he went. Yes, he picked up a couple victories, but, you can't overcome engine failures and crashes and bad luck and expect to be in the championship 4. Wasn't of his doing. So, yeah, I'm buying this pick. 10-1 is solid for Brad Keselowski.
All right. Now, last one. Last one on the odds. We have 2015 Daytona 500 winner Joey Logano at his odds 10-1.
Yeah, okay, I'll buy it. Logano is strong when it comes to the Talladegas and Daytonas of the world. I don't necessarily think he should be like the head honcho of this list. I'm surprised that we don't have a lot of 5-2s or 7-3s in the odds. I think we've covered just about everybody that needs to be covered. But all right, I'll buy Joey Logano at 10-1. And if I had to pick a top 5 of who I thought was going to win come February 16th, Logano's on that very short list.
Okay.
Is that it? That's everybody.
That's everybody. According to NASCAR.com, and also I did find a little bit of a nugget note. So basically, the field, which basically are the drivers, they have them at 18-1.
The field is 18-1.
Yeah.
So the ones that are on the list, yeah.
Well, according to other sports betting sites, they
Right.
got them at like different numbers, and then some of them are the same. But yeah, you never know.
Right. And so for those of you that don't understand what Corey is saying, the field is like a guy comes in and does that one race a year, like a Kirk Shelmerdine or God rest his soul, Teddy Christopher or Boris said, they would just come in, they do Daytona because it's a big payday. They can get out there, they get recognized, and then they'll come do one-offs or two-offs the rest of the season. That's what they mean by the field. Anyone they haven't already mentioned is the field.
Yeah. I think this is kind of a good thing. I kind of like doing this. I think probably I kind of think of like every week. I think we should do the odds, wherever the guys are going to, and I think we should just place all the odds on there.
Well, we would have to shorten our recaps, which I wanted to talk to you about, and I'm glad you brought it up. Maybe the recaps get shortened and the previews get shortened, and we can certainly do the odds. This was fun, but we should limit it to simply the Cup Series, because if we did it for all three, this is a 3-hour show, and neither one of us ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah. I think probably for like the Cup Series, I think it's fine, and I think it'll be good.
Sure, and as we go through, and we will learn as we go along. Corey does the stats in the beginning. He does the news and notes, and we have random banter here and there. But this was fun. The Vegas odds thing was fantastic. Now, I'm not going to press you because we're going to do our picks the week of, leading up to February 16th. Because I think, if I'm doing my math right, we're off next week. We come back right as the Super Bowl ends. We are coming on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. We're on the 5th. I think we go weekly from there, because then we have speed weeks and we have a lot of stuff to roll into. Or we could go from the 5th, or we could go from the 5th. No, we can't, because that would be, we can't do that. We're going weekly starting the 5th, kids.
Right, because then you got the Clash coming up, I think, on the 9th.
Yes.
The Busch Clash.
Yes, back to being the Busch Clash. I love it. I think it's great.
Yep.
Throwback Jones. I love it.
I love it too, and I think it's going to be exciting this year.
If you are in the Peabody, Massachusetts area on February 16th, you are, well, I don't want to open this up to anybody, but guess who's going to be in Peabody, Massachusetts on February 16th? Me.
Yay!
I'm going to the Italian restaurant, the Huffnagel Villa. I'm going to be part of Corey's Daytona party. I know I haven't been there for Throwback Weekend, but that's a Saturday night, and Saturdays are just ridiculously bad for me. But it's a Sunday. Great Baldini's out of town, which is our NASCAR go-to for first and last race of the year. But if I'm gonna party with the big boys, I got to show up. And every time Corey has one of these throwback racing parties, he gets me on camera. I talk to all the folks, and I somehow got roped into picking up Zach Kuhn to go to the party. So,
oh boy, I told Zach, I said I was gonna talk to you about that, and I don't know why he texted me that. So thanks, Zach. You beat me to it.
No worries. I'll take care of it. But
okay,
Zach, if you're out there, get a nice little box. Let me show you what it looks like real quick. Zach, you're on the hook. You got to get a nice little box. Looks something like this. I don't work for free, kid.
Right.
That's your penance. If I'm driving to Wabba Baba, Massachusetts to pick you up to go to Corey's house, you got to pay the piper. And I don't mean Roddy.
Right.
All right, Corey.
So basically, you're gonna have to pay Zach, right?
No,
or Zach's gonna have to pay you.
Zach's gonna have to. You know what? I'm gonna do him one better. Zach, I will pick you up. We will drive to Bunghole Liquors in Peabody, Massachusetts, one of my favorite places on earth, and you're buying the 12-pack, kid.
All right.
All right. So Corey, this is a time where you pimp, plug, or otherwise push things on the people.
All right, guys, so continue to follow the C&J Speedway Review on Facebook. Make sure you guys like us, and make sure you guys follow the show. Instagram, we are at C&J Speedway. Twitter, we are at CJ_Speedway. And all I can just say is, next weekend you got the Super Bowl. So, Chris, what's your prediction? Who do you think's going to win, and why?
Okay. We're looking at two really young teams. I don't want to blow the entire thing here because Loki and Jabroni Show will be previewing the Super Bowl this coming Tuesday. So I'll give you like a Cliff Notes version. You're looking at two really good young teams. There's some veteran presence, but it's not like teams of the past, like the Patriots, like the Packers, like the Giants, that have a great veteran presence. This is going to come down to who's faster and who wants it more. And when I look at these two teams, I can't help but think that the San Francisco 49ers are going to win this game, and they will win it by a score of 31-28.
Dude, all right. That's too funny because my prediction is San Francisco is going to win the Super Bowl 34-31. MVP is going to go to Jimmy Garoppolo.
If not Garoppolo, then Kittle.
Okay. I'm probably saying if not Garoppolo, I'm going to say if not Garoppolo, I'm probably going to say Nick Bosa.
Okay. Oh, from the Ohio State University. Love that pick.
Yeah.
Please, guys, if you get a chance, go find the Loki and Jabroni Show on Facebook or on YouTube or on Apple Podcasts, wherever you steal your favorite podcast from. I also want to throw a special shout out to the Basement Quest. That is Loki and Eddie Focus talking about all things gaming, whether it be tabletop or video games or what have you. They're doing a really great job. I subscribe to the show, and I don't know half the stuff they're talking about, but I learn something new every day. And it kind of makes me want to go and watch them do their little thing, sit on the side, drink a couple beers, and watch them as they go through their adventures. And then possibly, you never know. I may just have to whip out the Charmed Longstaff and join them on an adventure. But if you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, it is at cburns19. Any one of our podcasts are wildly popular, whether it's C&J Speedway Review, Loki and Jabroni, Basement Quest. We're having fun. Loki and Jabroni Show is coming up on a 5-year anniversary, and I am working on some fantastic guests for the month of April. Yes, I said guests, plural. I cannot reveal any of them. Sunday night, Loki and I will be in Wethersfield tracking down a former guest who we hope to have on again. He'll be in town. Oh, what a rush. And I'm working on a very famous musician. Nothing set in stone, but guys, if you know me, you know that, well, if I tell you you wanted the best, you're going to get the best. So just please, if you like this show, go follow me on the Loki and Jabroni Show on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Always a load of fun. Unlike this show, we're a little bit vulgar at times. We drink a lot of beer. We talk about a lot of things that people are afraid to discuss, but that's what makes it beautiful. We say the things you've always wanted to say, but might have been too afraid to say it.
Right.
And Corey Huffnagel was a guest once, so he's on that very short list of non-famous guests.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Corey. Yay, indeed. So, beyond that, look for us to go live on the 16th because Corey will probably whip out his gimmick phone and want to film stuff during the race. And Corey, either sometime before the race, I've got pool ideas. So if we want to have a little bit of monetary gambling Jones, I got a couple ideas that I used to do with my NASCAR parties, and we might have some fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
All right, kid. So without further ado, and of course, producer Eddie Focus is not in his chair, I'm going to say to you, give us the 2 most famous words in C&J Speedway Review history.
Buenos noches.
You really got to learn a new language. You should get one of those Rosetta Stone gimmicks and learn how to say good night.
Yeah, I know. I gotta work on that,
All right. Well, buenos nachos to all of you. So now, as Eddie's up, we'll give him a little After Hours Jones for those of you that are watching on YouTube. I'm curious. I'm just really curious about, I'm not curious about coming up there. I'm going to have a great time. But some of these people have only seen my face on, the show, and they know Family Friendly Chris. And, of course, I'm going to be in your house, so I'm going to be family friendly coming out the wazoo.
Well, you'll definitely meet my family and everything, so I'm really excited that you're coming over, and
I appreciate
I'll probably let you take a little quick tour of my room, and
Oh wow!
I got some I got some really good like racing memorabilia in my room. It's just like it's like literally like caving in and all that stuff and so forth. But no, I'm really excited that you're coming over to my town, and it's gonna be a great time.
Well, I've been through your town a couple times. I had a nice place, and of course, you got bunghole liquors, so you can't go
Yep.
wrong.
Oh,
But
I bet you cannot wait to stop into that store on the way to my house, can you?
when I said to you, "Are you having a party?" and you're like, "Well, I don't know," and I checked, and as soon as you said yes, I was like, "I got to go to the bunghole. I got to go to the bunghole."
Right.
It's a tradition, whether I'm in Peabody or Salem.
Exactly.
Eddie's back. After Hours Jones is done. If you're watching on YouTube, you're asked out. See you later.
Yeah.